Today, we're delving into a topic that is both chilling and deeply unsettling. Throughout history, there have been cases that have left us questioning the very nature of humanity, as some individuals, shockingly young in age, have committed unspeakable acts of violence. In this video, we'll explore the disturbing stories of these young minds, attempting to understand the factors that led them down such dark and twisted paths. So, without further ado, let's embark on this journey into the minds of the 5 youngest serial killers in history. Number 5. Michael Hernandez. I will become a serial killer. These were the chilling words inscribed in the journal of Michael Hernandez. Psychologists note that Hernandez grappled with profound psychological disturbances throughout his childhood, dealing with severe mental health issues. He developed an unsettling fascination with notorious serial killers such as Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer, believing it was his grim mission to purify the world by committing acts of murder. At just 14 years old, he lured his best friend, Jamie Goff, into a restroom stall at Southward Middle School in Palmetto Bay, where he had meticulously planned a horrifying act. Hernandez proceeded to stab his best friend more than 40 times before concealing the murder weapon in his backpack and returning to class. The case sent shockwaves across the nation. Initially, Michael attempted to assert his insanity, but the jury rejected this defense. As the investigation unfolded, it was revealed that he maintained a list of individuals he intended to target next, which included another classmate and even his own sister. Michael received a life sentence and tragically passed away at the age of 31, succumbing to cardiac dysrhythmia attributed to morbid obesity. Number 4. Craig Price. It was the 1970s. Craig Price was just an innocent child, and he was one of the millions of Black Americans who faced extreme racism during that time. White people used to call racial slurs at him. Price was fed up with facing racism and eventually started hating people. By the time he was 13 years old, his hatred had grown so much that he decided to kill an innocent neighbor, 27-year-old Rebecca Spencer. But he didn't stop there. He killed 3 more innocent people before being caught. According to the law implemented at the time, he would have been released at the age of 21. However, Craig's hatred toward people is so intense that he didn't stop attacking people even in prison. He was booked twice for fighting in prison and was denied parole in 2009. Then, on April 4, 2017, he stabbed a fellow inmate named Joshua Davis. The weapon was a homemade knife, and because of his crime, he was sentenced to another 25 years in prison on January 18, 2019. Number 3. Jasmine Richardson. Imagine killing your own parents and siblings. How can someone become so violent that they would kill their own family? Well, this is exactly the case of Jasmine Richardson. She's known for being the youngest person in Canada ever convicted of multiple first-degree murder counts. Jasmine was like all other children. She was exploring the world around her and met a 23-year-old guy named Jeremy Steinke. Both of them were obsessed with vampires and werewolves, and some believe they met on a website called vampirefreaks.com. Jeremy told Jasmine he was a 300-year-old werewolf, and Jasmine fell in love with him. But Jasmine's parents didn't approve of this relationship and grounded their daughter. Well, it was indeed the right thing to do. However, Jeremy brainwashed Jasmine, and the two planned to kill Jasmine's family to overcome the objections of her parents. It was April 2006 when Jasmine and Jeremy Steinke killed Mark Richardson and Jasmine's 8-year-old brother Tyler Jacob. Richardson was sentenced to 10 years imprisonment, which was completed in May 2016. Here, it's important to note that her sentence included 4 years to be spent in a psychiatric institution and another 4.5 years under conditional supervision in the community. But what happened to Jeremy? Well, he was sentenced to 3 life sentences. He had to serve them concurrently and was eligible for parole after serving 25 years. Number 2. Mary Flora Bell. Take the thing away from me. This is what Elizabeth Bell shouted when hospital staff attempted to place her daughter in her arms. The name of this innocent daughter is Mary Flora Bell, and Elizabeth was a well-known prostitute who was often absent from the family home. Mary was left alone with her abusive stepfather, who was an alcoholic and habitual criminal. During her childhood, Mary often suffered injuries in household accidents. These accidents would occur when she was alone with her mother. Well, Mary's family believed that Elizabeth was deliberately negligent and intentionally trying to harm her daughter. Well, this traumatic childhood resulted in Mary showing signs of disturbed and unpredictable behavior. She would often attack her friends, and the violence continued to grow. On May 25, 1968, she strangled 4-year-old Martin Brown. This was the day before her 11th birthday. She later killed 3-year-old Brian Howe. She was sentenced to detention at Her Majesty's pleasure. Mary was finally released from HM Prison Askham Grange in 1980. At that time, she was 23 years old and was granted anonymity. According to various reports, she birthed a daughter in 1984. Interestingly, Mary collaborated with a well-known author named Gita Sereni in 1998 to talk about her life. Sereni says that Bell admits that the abuse she suffered during her childhood doesn't excuse her crimes. What do you think? Number 1. Amarjeet Sada. Finally, we introduce Amarjeet Sada, the son of a poor daily wage laborer. This young boy yearned for his parents' attention, which seemingly eluded him. His parents bestowed their affection upon other children, including Sada's younger sister and his cousin. While it's natural for kids to experience jealousy, in Sada's case, this emotion spiraled into a series of heinous acts. In 2007, at the tender age of 7, Sada's mother entrusted him with the care of his 6-month-old cousin. Fueled by seething envy, he initially observed the baby sleeping serenely, only to then commit the unthinkable act of strangling the infant with his bare hands, resulting in the baby's tragic death. Unsatisfied with this gruesome act, Sada proceeded to drag the lifeless body to the backyard, where he mercilessly smashed his head with a brick. When his mother returned home and asked about his cousin, Sada chillingly responded, "I killed him." Yet his parents shielded him, refraining from reporting the crime to the authorities. Subsequently, he went on to take the life of his own infant sister, before ruthlessly ending the existence of a 6-month-old infant named Kushbo in 2007. At just 8 years old, when Sada was called into the police station for the first time, he displayed an unusual level of composure. Unlike the other village boys, he showed no fear in the presence of uniformed police officers. When questioned by an officer about his involvement in Kushbo's death, Sada gave an unexpected response, saying, "Give me a packet of biscuits and I'll tell you." This response left the officers stunned, but they complied, providing him with the biscuits. Without hesitation, Sada ultimately confessed to all 3 murders, and then led them to the area behind the primary school where he had left Kushbo's lifeless body. Just as he had done with his 2 previous victims, he had used his bare hands to strangle Kushbo. Remarkably, Amarjeet Sada calmly recounted his past actions, displaying no hint of remorse whatsoever.